Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss news and gender. This lecture is a part of your paper News and Society. In the lecture, we will study the essence of the interdisciplinary term gender. In addition, we will also learn about theoretical dimensions of Western and Indian concepts of gender studies. A thorough understanding of these approaches will help us in appreciating the interaction between gender news and media, which we'll also discuss in this lecture. Gender is a fundamental part of media studies. Media provides information about global events in the form of news and can be a source of creating awareness. Media can contribute not only to gender equality and gender justice, but also play a significant role in the growth and development of half of the humanity as a whole. Learning outcome. This lecture will enhance your understanding of the nomenclature, gender and conceptualization of gender studies in both Western and Indian writings. We will also be more aware of how themes relevant to women are represented in news and media. Understanding gender, we all have filed some or the other application form in our life. It can be for identity proofs like voter ID card or Aadhaar card, or opening a bank account, or driving license, or applying for a passport, or it can be educational or professional applications. While completing these forms, you must have come across a question on your gender with options male, female or others. The question arises, what exactly is gender and how it is constructed? Gender studies belong to multidisciplinary fields of social sciences, include political science, sociology, history, anthropology, and goes beyond to literature, cinema, and media studies. Gender refers to the socially and culturally formulated distinction between femininity and masculinity. These differences, instead of being biological, are the result of interplay of many societal, technological, and material factors. Gender is an outcome of internalization of perspective and mindset of the community regarding divergent role, plays, and obligations for women and men. The traditional view is based on public-private dichotomy, where women are confined to household tasks and men are expected to go out and earn. This socialization process can be seen from childhood itself. You must have also noticed that girl child is usually given toys in the form of kitchen utensils to play with, whereas boys are given toy cars and toy guns to prepare them for their future roles. This conforms to masculine characteristics for men like power, autonomy, and feminine characteristics like weakness, dependence, emotional associated with women. Since these characteristics are social constructions, not biological ones, they indicate gender inequality, representing power relationship. Western conceptualization of gender studies, Western theorists have pointed out that women's work in household goes unpaid, their role as producers is ignored, signifying power relations and their subordination. Sylvia Walby discusses 3 approaches to gender subjugation: socialization theory, Neo-Freudian psychoanalytic theory, and discourse analysis. Socialization approach emphasizes that masculine and feminine identities are due to the socialization process from early childhood. Here, masculinity is characterized by aggressiveness and assertiveness, while femininity is associated with passive and gentle behavior. The media feeds into these perceptions through images of women as being physically attractive and glamorous, while men are shown as authoritarian and dominant. Psychoanalytic approach stress on psychological thinking forwarded from one generation to another, creating gendered identities in the process. Discourse approach point out to the ideological basis of patriarchy responsible for women's oppression. Language, religion, mythology, cinema, and literature are seen as part of patriarchal discourse. This approach is criticized for negating the role of economic and political institutions in constructing gendered identities. Liberal feminists argue that by eliminating legal hurdles, the issue of women's subjugation can be taken care of. But post-liberal approaches believe that patriarchy is structural, entrenched in societies, and legal changes will not be suffice to remove gender inequalities. Marxist and socialist feminist approach explains women's subordination in economic terms, which recognizes only paid work in the public realm, negating women's household contribution, which is not valued. Women perform both reproductive and labor work in households, which amounts to double burden. Post-colonialist stress on colonial relations of control and subservience under European imperialism in the 18th and 19th centuries. Postmodernists examine relationship between knowledge and power, highlighting that those who create knowledge get power in the process. Postmodernists show that men are considered as people who know everything, and knowledge is actually based on men's lives in the public realm. They challenge the universal assumptions, highlighting the need for the recognition of diversity and differences. Also, within women as a category, there can be diverse identities and experience which need to be taken into account. Hence, in the 19th century, feminine discourse was centered on polarization, with women confined to separate spheres of private world and men belong to the public world. Later on, debate included arguments on unity and diversity among women. Gender discourse in India, cultural anthropological studies in India have criticized ethnocentrism and class bias of Western gender narratives trying to project a universalistic theory. In fact, colored women in West have themselves criticized Western notions for ignoring discrimination on the basis of race and class. Chandra Mohanty denounces Western feminist description of women of developing world as poor, illiterate, always discriminated against and lacking agency. She argues that women's subservience does not require universal understanding of women's demands, rather must be dealt within a specific cultural situation. In India, gender disclosure was highlighted women's struggle in varied but interrelated realms of patriarchal society, power relations, interaction of caste, class and gender relations, and impact of globalization owing to diverse cultures, languages and regional specificities of India. Gender narratives have divergence, debates and disagreements. Bandhan Purkashte, Mangala Subramaniam, Manisha Desai and Sunita Bose in their article on the study of gender in India, a partial review, have highlighted three overlapping dimensions in gender approaches in India. First, there is a tension between scholars who have foregrounded gender and those who adopted a more intersectional approach. Second, the epistemological roots of work on gender are not inevitably based on feminism. Third, there is a considerable emphasis on the role of the nation state and international structures in fostering gender inequalities. Writers like Butalia, Ray and Basu foreground gender, whereas others like Kelkar, Gandhi and Shah Kumar have reflected on the intersectionality of class, religion, caste, gender and regional dynamics. Gail Omwitt in her work We Will Smash This Prison reflects on person is political to highlight discrimination against women. She questioned the patriarchal values of power and control over women and confinement of women to the private domain to subjugate her by the male authority. Gender discourse in India has also touched other spheres. Vandana Shiva has worked on environment in the context of women in the form of ecofeminism. Bagchi 1996 and Chatterjee 1992 emphasized on the marginalization of women further due to mechanisms of neocolonialism, neoliberalism, and globalization. Kamala Haseen underscores that family, religion, media, and law perpetuate patriarchal system. They legitimize and naturalize patriarchy. With a male head in family, boys and girls learn appropriate behavior as demanded by society, with boys learning to control and girls to behave obediently and be subservient. Media's portrayal of women as inferior further legitimizes patriarchy. With a technological finesse and artistic projection, media messages and images become compelling. Gender and media. After an understanding of the term gender, now we will take a look how gender is projected in media and news. We will further explore interrelationship between gender and media. Even today, in an age of technological revolution, women are still underrepresented in production and management positions in the field of media. Moreover, gender is still relegated to the background, restricted to women shows and women sections in electronic and print media respectively. In 1995, the Beijing Platform for Action at the Fourth World Conference on Women underlined the fact that global access to information is continuously increasing due to revolution in the means of communication, mass media, computer technology, satellite television, enhancing opportunities for the women's participation. Yet, communication networks are still engaged in stereotyping women and belittling them with the intention of profiting in a consumerist world. Until women participate equally in both the technical and decision-making areas of communications and the mass media, including the arts, they will continue to be misrepresented, and awareness of the reality of women's lives will continue to be lacking. The masculine nature of the media perpetuates the conventional attitudes about women even today. The scenario cuts across countries and societies. Charlotte Hopper analyzes masculinity along with textual examination of The Economist, a prestigious British weekly newspaper which deals with business and political spheres. Her study denotes that The Economist is full of masculine expressions and implications irrespective of aims of publishers and authors. Similarly, the status of women in US Media 2017 report asserts that men still dominate media across all platforms, television, newspapers, online and wires, with change coming only incrementally. Women are not equal partners in telling the story, nor are they equal partners in sourcing and interpreting what and who is important in the story. News has become more about sensationalism with patriarchal mindset of newspaper and media establishments coloring the news presentation of gender issues at times, even stigmatizing the victims. Women issues are usually confined to page 3. Even if they make it to page 1, it does not take time for it to be forgotten soon or pushed to the last pages. Similarly, is the scenario with the electronic media. In 1984, Doordarshan's Joshi Committee report highlighted that middle-class ideologies of women's roles as wives and mothers provide the underlying basis for most programs. In a country where 36% of the agricultural workforce is female, women continue to be projected as predominantly non-producers and as playing a limited role outside the home. The plural nature of Indian culture and the diverse roles that women play is neither acknowledged nor communicated. Social cognitive theory point out that viewer identifies with the television character while watching the program. Hence, negotiation of a female character or her stereotypes portrayal has negative implications for the society. Call for gender justice has led to many debates and public discussions on the questions of gender equality. With the power to influence the mindset of society, media can play a much larger role and sensitize people. Media in a democratic polity is supposed to act as a pedagogue of freedom and a telling critic of all illegitimate practices and formation of power. However, neither its class predilection nor its patriarchal inclination allows the media to perform such a task. Post-independence history of Indian media testifies to this fact. He further points out that there may be occasional gender issues raised by media, but they are far and few, between which fail to comprehend the structural shortcomings of the system. Schaffer is critical of unethical and outrageous depiction of women in advertisement, which further perpetuates gender hierarchy. She calls for upholding women's right to dignity. Even Carolina Rodriguez, Bello in Women in Media, Progress and Issues, argues that media assesses women not on their abilities, but rather how they look, fair and slim, are considered the benchmark of beauty. She reflects on how women are objectified and used to sell products like cigarettes, cars, and male perfumes. Indian media's transition from state ownership to market domination has not changed women's representation in stereotyped role. Women are seen as passive players in traditional society, even if there is a chance it is not in gender outlook. Women are shown as a representative of capitalist culture in consumerist fashion. Women are more or less absent from serious debates in the public sphere. Not much value is appended to gender parity in media reporting. However, this is not to say that nothing has changed. Women to some extent are making way to media newsrooms in India, making a mark in media culture. Many women journalists are very successful both in print and electronic media. They are dealing very sensitively with gender issues like harassment of women at workplace, the trauma of HIV infected women, and female infanticide in rural areas. Women are entering journalism, a field which was conventionally considered only a male domain. Also, in the context of social media, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development highlighted that after the 2012 gang rape of a young woman in Delhi, Delhi gang rape hashtag campaign brought gender-based violence in India into the spotlight. The hashtag campaign, along with public protest, culminated in government introducing specific anti-rape provisions in the criminal code. Social media has proved to be a powerful vehicle for bringing women's rights issues to the attention of a wider public, galvanizing action on the street of cities around the world and encouraging policymakers to step up commitments to gender equality. Earlier also, news and media coverage did contribute in bringing about a change. For example, in the 1980s, rising dowry deaths and rape, including the custodial rapes, were constantly reported in the media. As a result, owing to large public outrage, changes were made to the Indian Penal Code in the context of custodial rape cases and dowry deaths. The violence against women is continuing, but this highlights power of media is addressing women issues if they choose to do so. Sania Sarnavaka specifies that across the world, women are using the power of media to channelize people in the direction of women's rights. They are focusing on ending violence against women as depicted in the media. Violence against women is here understood in two ways, not only as violence against women in society, but as violence committed in the media. By this, we mean all representations, distorted reflection, sexism, and silencing of women's voices, which violate women's right to equal access to public discourse. Now the media not only informs and make people aware, but also support and advocate social, political, and cultural values, which can be crucial for building several perceptions. Summary. Let us now try and summarize what we have discussed in the text. We hope now we are all well versed with the definition of gender. We have also grasped the Western and Indian approaches to the gender studies, including liberal, Marxist, socialist, post-colonial, postmodernist, and interaction among caste, class, and gender, affecting gender relations. We have also gained knowledge on how gender is theorized in both Western and Indian narratives. We have also learnt how gender is projected in print and electronic media. So far, media has more or less neglected issues of violence against women, their rights, or stereotyped them. With the revolution in the field of communication and the global reach of information technology, the mass media is seen as a critical, persuasive, and robust agent of change, which can play a determined role in empowering women. Do attempt the question in the self-evaluate quadrant for further reading suggestions. Please refer to the third quadrant. Thank you.